the question we all ask ourselves: who are we? Where are we from? What is God? Who is God? Why me? What was my mission here? And I think the more I analyzed that question myself, the more I found it wasn't something on the outside. The deeper I got into looking into researching spirituality and the sciences that back spirituality, which some of that I actually learned, believe it or not, at MIT, I began to realize that it's really a journey to inner space. And so when you start looking at the micro, you discover what's on the macro. And so in quantum physics and subatomic physics, you want to find out, when you look at the smallest scale of things, it gives you almost an identical mirror as to what's going on the larger scale. So I began to realize that God is us and we are God, and that God is on a data collection mission. And the whole premise of this third dimensional realm and human beings operating in this realm and potential other alien beings and everything else throughout the entire universe are all doing one thing, very simple: collecting information and sending it back to the source. So I think that when you ask that question, it's such a broad question, but to summarize it, it's like this: the human brain is encased in darkness. It can't see, smell, taste, hear. It knows nothing that's going on the outside, but it does have friends. It has a sensory perception, so you can touch something, you can smell, you can hear. But it says to its friends, go out and bring me back some information. So the friends go out and they touch and they smell and they taste and they hear and they see, and they bring that data back to the brain. And then the brain takes that data, and the friends don't know what they have. They only have the information. They got to bring it back to the brain. The brain then sorts it all out and projects a hologram as to what's potentially going on outside of itself. And we navigate through that hologram based on a projection from data collected by our sensory perception. So when I saw that, when I was able to extrapolate that, I then took it to the macro, and I said, okay, so the universe is a mind. God is part of this universal mind, this universal consciousness, and there's only one consciousness. And it has really separated itself into Googles of entities, because Google's a number, and it separated itself into, Google's an actual number. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's not a search engine.
Oh my God.
So what they're trying to say is we've got so many searches, because they've named their search engine after a number. And so it separated itself into Googles of entities so that they can find out what it's like to live in the third dimension subjectively as me, you, a blade of grass, even a rock, a tree. And so all of these living things that exist throughout the entire third dimension are all doing one thing. They are transmitting back to source all the information of what it's like to be a blade of grass, what it's like to be Billy Carson, what it's like to be Danica Patrick. And so the universal consciousness is actually taking this information and it's actually collecting this data to analyze what is it like to operate through this grand experiment of this third dimension. It's a learning process, and we're all a part of that. And so God has literally imbued every atom in the entire universe with this divine consciousness. And we know now through every single individual atom, it has electrons orbiting it, and those electrons can make conscious decisions based on observation. We know this because of the double slit experiment in quantum physics.